Hi everyone, it's your coach Marwan from Marwan Killer Fitness and fitandlean.com. Today's video, we're going to talk about 5 gym mistakes making you store belly fat. So, excuse me for a second, sorry. So there are many mistakes that I've seen people do over the times that I've been to the gym and from talking to people. Okay, but I've narrowed it down to 5 points which all tie in together and you'll see exactly why. So let's start with point number 1. Okay, they're all in kind of order. Doing too much volume. All right, so the main thing that I see people do going to the gym is they think more is better. So in everything in life, the more hours you do, the more money you get, the harder you work, the more chances you have of success, the more training that you do. Like for example, if you're a soccer player, the more training that you do more often, then you're going to get better and pick up all these skills, like the 10,000 hour rule, so to speak, okay? But this does not apply to weight training, okay, especially when you are trying to lose body fat. And I explain to you exactly why. When you're doing too much volume, you are kind of you're going to be in a caloric deficit. So when you are doing too much volume, what's going to happen is your fuel tank is going to start, when you start in a caloric deficit, it's going to start from about full roughly, and it starts going down every single workout. So every single workout that you do, your fuel tank is going to be lower and lower and lower and lower. Okay, so it's not like it is on a car whereby you can still go the same speed until the kind of the fuel runs out. Okay, that's not how the body works. It's completely different. What happens is you're going to elevate cortisol. Now, what happens with cortisol? Cortisol is a stress hormone. Okay, it gets elevated when you are training, and the reason it gets elevated because it kind of needs to mobilize energy for a fight or flight response. Okay, due to physical, and it gets elevated when there is physical stress on the body. So that's why it needs to mobilize the energy. Now, cortisol has a direct effect on the myostatic gene and on the kind of has an effect on protein synthesis. All right, and it also impacts mTOR. So if it affects protein synthesis rather, can't get my words out now. If it affects protein synthesis, then it's going to make you smaller. When it makes you smaller, you're gonna be looking. You can still be like you're gonna lose the muscle basically that you've worked hard to earn. Okay, so what happens is when you are low on energy, that means that your glycogen stores are lower as well. Okay, so all you're gonna do by doing too much volume is you're gonna stress your nervous system out. You're gonna use too much glycogen, and you're going to burn less lower fat, less body fat. Okay, to kind of make it easier for you, I've kind of put 3 arrows over here to make it easier. So if your intensity is high, there's an inverse relationship between intensity, duration and volume. If your intensity is high, then your duration and volume have got to go down because you cannot train hard and you cannot train long. Okay, you have to be in and out of the gym fairly quickly. All right, so up to 45 minutes, maybe even an hour or some days. That's kind of as much as you can really do. But I would say probably between 30 minutes to 45 minutes is optimal when you're training for fat loss. Okay, you want to select about 3 to 5 exercises, and you want to train intensely to maximize the protein synthesis. You don't want too many exercises either. I'll come to that point in a second. But with regards to volume, to maximize protein synthesis, you've got to train hard to compensate by training hard and doing less volume. All right, because once you kind of elevate the protein synthesis, then it's no point going more and more and more, doing more volume, because all you're going to do is actually use up valuable resources for the body. It's going to be under recovered, and then you're not going to be able to push yourself as hard. All right, you're going to fatigue your central nervous system. In terms of volume, there is a time and a place to do volume, all right, but it's just not during a fat loss phase, all right. So you see a lot of the big the IFBB pros, when they train with a lot less volume. Intensity always trumps volume, because you can do 10 sets of I don't know, 10 for example, but how much is that, you know, of that is intensity. So we come on to point number 2, is using too many exercises. Okay, if you're using too many exercises, then you're doing too much volume. And again, this is related to point number 1. If you're doing too many exercises, again, you're going to do too much volume, and then you're not going to be able to recover sufficiently to push yourself hard on the next day. Bearing in mind, during the fat loss phase, now is not the time to actually work on your symmetry or work on your weak points. Okay. Point number 3, too much cardio, being a cardio bunny. Guys, the amount of people that I've seen in the gym, you might be one of these that go on the treadmill or go on the cross trainer, you know, one of these cross trainers, and I see them ambling along at, you know, kind of at 60% of the maximum heart rate. Yes, you might burn more fat during the maximum, during the when you're training at 60% of your maximum heart rate, but the body will then compensate by burning more carbs later on. And what you should be interested in is overall calories, rather than just how much fat you're burning. Because if you're burning, say, 200 calories on that 20 minutes, okay, over time that's going to get less and less and less and less, because the body adapts. So you're making your body efficient at storing body fat. So although it's telling you that you are burning 200 calories, it's actually not true, okay, because the body will then adapt to that stimulus and will be able to exert less energy, if you know what I mean, okay, because the body's not interested in rather muscle, or burn through muscle basically, because it's more calorie intensive, all right. So it's more calorie intensive than body fat, and that's why it's easier to store body fat rather than build muscle, because the body it's more calorie intensive for the body to be to build muscle. Okay, it has to use up a lot more fuel. All right, so mistake number 4, not training for strength. The amount of people that I see that are training with higher reps. You know, you've probably heard it before. If you go for lower reps, then you are going to then you're going to build muscle. If you're training with higher reps, you're going to tone the muscle. Okay, well, there's no such thing, because you've got to have the muscle in the first place to be able to tone it, and the only way you're going to be able to look toned is if you've got that muscle in the first place and have a low body fat levels. Okay, so this is a complete myth. And what do you think is going to happen when you start lifting punk ass weights? You build muscle by lifting heavy ass weights. Okay, now you're going to go onto these punk ass weights. You're going to do light weights and do higher reps. All you're doing is burning more glycogen. Okay, you're doing 20-30 reps of one exercise. The body's going to say, oh, hold on, why do I need all this muscle if I'm not lifting heavy weights? Okay, you got to train with intensity. You got to train hard and heavy to try and trigger protein synthesis, to keep that muscle on your body, and even maybe build a bit of muscle during your fat loss phase. Okay. Point number 5, again, that ties in with a lot of these, is using split routine. Now, if you're doing on a Monday, you're working your chest on the Monday, legs on the Tuesday, shoulders on the Wednesday, back on the Thursday, for example, and then maybe legs on the arms on the Friday. Okay. You're not going to be maximizing the protein synthesis. You're not going to be using up, you're going to be using as many muscle fibers as you should be using, and your fat loss is going to be a lot slower. Okay, what you should be training when you're training for fat loss is you should be using a whole body workouts. So you should be doing upper. I recommend. Not you should, but I recommend doing upper lower split. Okay, so for example, we do bent over rows, followed by squats, followed by shoulder overhead press, followed by deadlifts, and then pick another upper body movement like chin-ups. Okay, And these are great at using many muscle fibers, and also because the body has to send blood from the top to the bottom, back to the top and to the bottom again. Okay, it means you're going to be burning a lot more calories that way. You're going to use up many more muscle fibers. Okay, and the key to triggering protein synthesis as well is to train often. Okay, if you're going to be using if you're going to be, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like touch-up sets, okay, but something that you do, for example, on your mass gaining phase, is you try and hit that muscle twice a week, not necessarily with the same intensity as you do on the first time, but for example, you do train back on a Monday, all right, and then you'll do a set of back maybe on the Wednesday, all right, just to trigger more protein synthesis. And that can be just like 2 sets of 10 to 12 reps of the cable pull downs. All right, there doesn't have to be anything strenuous. It just can be something like that. And when you're doing split routine, you're going to be using many more muscle fibers more often. All right, so I recommend doing 3 to 4 times a week, training with weights, and the other times you can mix up your routine with either body weights or cardio. All right, go back to cardio. Use cardio as a tool. Don't be a cardio bunny. Being more active throughout the day, all right, it's going to actually make you burn more calories than you would do just doing being on the treadmill or being on the cross trainer as a cardio bunny. All right, NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis, will actually burn a lot more, will cause you to burn a lot more fat throughout the day than you would do just by going to the gym. Because think about it this way, it's 24 hours in a day, and if you say that you sleep for 8 hours, that's 16 hours left. Going to the gym for an hour, that's 15 hours. Take away 8 for going to work and travel, that leaves you with 7 hours. So throughout these 7 hours, you're sat on the sofa, then you're not active, you're not going to be burning as many calories. Okay, if you want I've done a couple of videos on cardio and what exercises you can do for cardio. I recommend something like the Prowler or the sled, and some heavy tire lifting, and also some weighted carries. These are great exercises to use up a lot of energy. Okay, you can do them after you work out, or you can do them on separate days. The stuff like tire pushing and the Prowler, you can do it as a separate day. You literally can do 20 minutes of this, and it'll be like training for weights. All right, so I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you like this video, hit the like button, share it with your friends, family, co-workers, whoever else you think would benefit from it, and hit the subscribe button to be notified whenever I put out new videos. All right, talk again soon. Bye for now.